My name is Crescenzo, and my last name is Notarile. Often I go under my three names, Crescenzo Giacomo Notarile. Very simply, I started because my parents were artists. My father was an art director in the field of advertising. He was a very successful, well-known art director at the time for a very large advertising agency, McCaffrey and McCall, which is now Saatchi & Saatchi. And his photographer, by the way, was Richard Avedon, with a whole host of other really very, very important, prominent figures of that world. And at a very, very early age, I used to go to work with my father, and he used to take me in his arms, and I used to watch these photographers work, and there was a lot of eye candy in front of my eyes, you know, with flash umbrellas going off, and strobes, and, you know, models, and product photography, and locations, and it was quite fun for me as a little child. What I do right now as far as my occupation is I'm a cinematographer, I'm a director of photography. I shoot television commercials, I shoot music videos, I shoot television shows, I shoot motion pictures, I shoot a gamut of all the genres. But I do tremendously feel that in order to be a cinematographer, which is a lifetime achievement, you never stop learning, you have to be a photographer first and foremost. That has to be the seed. And why I say that is because you have to understand how to tell a picture, how to tell a story within that picture, within those four lines, that boundary of that box. It's all about composition, it's all about geometry, it's all about camera placement, it's all about lighting, the absence of light. What makes a photograph as opposed to just a picture is the narrative that one imagines outside of the frame. For 30 years, I've been dealing with Panavision cameras, where it's big, enormous cameras with big zoom lenses, and you're dealing with very cumbersome pieces of equipment. And to move around with those pieces of equipment is not easy. And to get into crevices and to find camera placements or perspectives, it's not as easy as it looks. But as soon as Canon brought the cameras into the genre, into this world, all of a sudden it opened up the door wide open. Wide open. And because of camera placement, camera positioning, the freedom, the free-forming, that's just as far as the physicality of it. But the technical aspect of these Canon cameras are designed so pristinely sharp, and the resolutions are fantastic. And now with the new 24 frames that they updated the software, which gives us a license to now record sync sound on a film set with no slippage, et cetera, et cetera. It opened up a tremendous world in terms of being a cinematographer on a film set. And I've used Canon cameras very, very often on my television shows. The lens that I use most often, my personal favorite, is the 16-35. And why I like that particular lens is I like the wide end of the lens. I like a wide angle feel up close. I rather get close to the subject with a wider lens, not in a distorted way, and I don't find the Canon lenses distorting at all. That's why I like that wide angle, because it gives the face a little more presence, I feel. It rounds out the face, and I like that very, very much. It doesn't make it flat for me, so I like getting in there. And because of that focal length, you know, it gives me the opportunity to be a little more free-form and flexible because of the depth of field. I mean, I don't have to worry about the criticalness of the sharpness of getting it in focus too critically. So I find it's more free form and more flowing for me with that particular lens. When I first saw the image come off that 5D, I have to be honest with you, my eyebrows raised and I was very taken back. And what I enjoyed mostly about it is it didn't have that plastic, inorganic feel. It was very sharp, the resolution was very tight, the blacks were very inky. The contrast of the glass was very strong, which we love. You know, we love strong contrast. We love when the whites go pure white and the blacks go pure black, inky black. We love that. And I find those lenses to be very rich. But the image coming off was incredibly sharp. However, it didn't look inorganic. It didn't look plastic like a lot of the high-def cameras are. You know, when you watch the TV news, you know, your 6 o'clock news, you know, things are so sharp, I mean, they kind of look like mannequins. They're very plastic feel. But with the Canon 5D, the way that image came off of, it was a little more pastel feeling in terms of the softness with colors. It gave it a little more sculpture and roundness to the shape of the colors and that whole spectrum of contrast. I find it very fascinating that what I'm seeing now is a lot of these 5Ds on the set, not just motion picture cameras, but I look over my shoulder. I see a lot of Canons sitting on those cases and brought out on the unipods and tripods, and you know, whether it's B camera or C camera or inserts or stunts or special effects. They're always brought out, and I'm seeing it used more often. I mean, I know now that they're shooting television shows, complete television shows from beginning to end with these Canon 5Ds. The proof is in the pudding. When you see side-by-side tests and you have these major cinematographers looking at these side-by-side tests, and you cannot tell the difference what was shot on film or what was originated on these Canon 5Ds, is pretty remarkable.